Welcome into the Pats Nation. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe is with us in the booth, and you are watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast, and, of course, 790 The Score in Rhode Island. And give us a call and heated hotline, 855-313-PATS, 24/7. It's a message line, so leave a message, have a take. Joe will pick one. Let it be yours. Or, hey, you can email us on our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. And when you get on there, make sure you subscribe, give us that thumbs up, and follow us. Hey, we got to go to now. Listen, we're recording on Thursday. I told everybody in Corso and Catone yesterday. So game hasn't happened yet. We'll have a few little thoughts on the Jets game as to what they need to do, and you'll be able to tell us if we were right when you hear this and see.
Yes, because the game would be final by then. So, but we'll see.
Yeah. By the time you're seeing it, we'll be, it's like everything that's happening now is happening now, and it's live. And
when was then?
When was then?
I'm going to be right anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
When will then be now?
Soon.
Soon. So, but we're going to talk QB break down some of the quarterback issues or good things on this team, and we'll go weekly rewind and go back and look at some of the Seattle games, some of the things for the Patriots, and of course, we're going to hear from one of you. Or we're going to hear from somebody in Heated Hotline, I'm told. So
yes,
that's what Joe told me. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but we're going to hear from somebody in Heated Hotline. And we're going to try to make you some more money in Sunday spread and go a little bit around the league and talk about the NFL and the state of the NFL after 2 weeks. Gentlemen.
Hey.
Yep.
I know.
Yeah.
You want to go, Mark? We got to go, because we got to watch this game. And listen, we're fans just like you. That's it.
No, I know. But listen. I know you're not happy this week because you believe we should be 2-0. But
we should be 2-0.
Yeah.
Christ almighty. We should be 2-0. And we're going to talk about why. But first, we want to talk QB breakdown. Joe.
Okay, now.
Hit it, boys.
Gotta love that wash.
I love it.
I like that wash. So, Mark, let's go back, talk about the Seattle game when it comes to Brissett a little bit. And he was 15 of 27 for 149 yards, 1 touchdown. He was sacked 3 times.
But he was under pressure a lot, Chris.
He was under pressure a lot. He had an 83 QB rating, if that means anything to you. Break this down. He's been real good at avoiding sacks, okay? He's been hurried or hit 28 times, okay, in those couple of games, and he's only been sacked 4 times. So, that's a pretty damn good percentage. So he's doing a good job of getting out of things, right?
No, he absolutely is, Chris. Since you're talking percentages, the offensive line, Chris's blocking efficiency is like next to last in the league. So you want to talk about avoiding sacks. The edge, Chris, is killing him. The guys coming off the edge. And Seattle only rushed 4 guys. They were in pretty much a base 4-man front, Chris, the entire game. And they got pressure on him. So, yes, I think he's doing, though, Chris, what Alex Van Pelt wants. This is what he wants him to run. And he's doing it. So is he flashy? Is he making big plays? No, but they're not calling it either, Chris. So he's doing what they're asking him to do. And you and I believe this is why Van Pelt wanted him to start. He didn't want May to start. Because May, I think, a young kid would get very frustrated at the fact that they're not throwing the ball downfield. There's no motion going on at all. I know you want to talk about the simplicity of the route running, of the receivers. Yeah. It's just a lot that's not happening. So, in the grand scheme of things, Brissett isn't playing that bad, Chris, considering when you look at this offense in totality.
Considering what the hell is going on. Yeah, he was only blitzed 3 times. He's only been blitzed 5 times this season coming into the Jets game. Okay? But he's under pressure 40% of the time.
That's a problem. Major problem.
What the hell? So, but only sacked 4 times. So, to his credit, like we talk about, I think he's doing the best he can possibly do. Now, he's not making some throws he could possibly make.
Yeah, he's missed some reads as well. Yeah.
But, he'll be a pro. He'll be tough through the end. But, you can't sustain this. He can't get hit the way he's being hit. He was hit, I think, 10 times last game? 10, 12 times. I think he was hit some crazy number like that.
And a
No,
couple of times
he was hit
You
eight. He was hit 8 times. He was sacked 3 times. Go ahead, Joe.
And a couple of times, Chris, it looked like he wasn't getting up.
Yeah,
But
had
he
a
got
few
up.
winces out there, like really, really wincing a couple of times.
It hurts. These guys, 250, 300-pound guys knocking you around every time, and a stupid offensive lineman are coming back, let me help you up, I mean, you know what I'm saying? They might as well knock him down himself. So, yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see how sustainable this is, how long he can, withstand this kind of heat and pressure. And with the Jets game tonight, that's a team that can bring some pressure too, Mark.
Well, their defensive end, Chris, is out, right? The
Yes.
defensive end is ruled out. The middle linebacker, Mosley, is questionable, but he hasn't practiced all week. He's out. So some of their I think one of their safeties may be out. So like 3 of their starters on defense, Chris, are not playing. So that's going to help us, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, they're catching breaks. Brissett's they're catching breaks. This season so far with injuries, on other teams, and Cincinnati wasn't ready to play.
Next week, they're going to face another injury-riddled team in San Francisco.
I know. Wow, are they ever?
Yeah,
Debo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, they got issues on the offense, and there's a few defensive issues. But do you think, before, and I want to, talk about some of the other rookie class, because I want to ask you, from what you've seen so far, should Drake maybe playing sooner or later? I mean, do we really want to put him behind this line?
No. So if you look at Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels has produced a little more offensively. He's been.
They didn't have a touchdown last week, right?
No, but he's
touchdown scored.
No, so
today I'm trying to think.
Based on their performances, Chris, and Caleb Williams almost got killed last week against the Texans.
Yeah.
You're right. Do you want to put Drake May behind this offensive line? At this point, I would say no. But the conversation I had with you, I believe it was Monday night, was the answer is no. However, do you sit him for 17 games? At some point, though, Chris, don't you want him to make some of the rookie mistakes that Daniels and Williams are making this year? So next year, even though you give him the first team reps and all of that stuff, he still would essentially be playing his rookie year. So at some point, you get him 4 or 5 games under his belt so he can make the mistakes he's going to make as a rookie. But not now, because I think he'll get killed. But later in the season, or do you just sit him for 17 and say, you know what, next year he'll play?
You can't sit this guy out of fear that he's going to get hurt. So if that's the reason you're doing it, I know some people will disagree with me on this, but out of fear that he's going to get hurt behind this offensive line, you're just going to sit him down. Yeah, I don't think you can do that. Now, there's the fear that because that Mac Jones syndrome, where you're just getting knocked around, and then all your fundamentals, all your technique, everything goes in the toilet because all you're doing is fighting for your life. But you can't replace game reps, So I agree with you. I mean, maybe not right now. Maybe when they're eliminated from the playoffs, that's when he comes in. That's when you see him. But you cannot go into the offseason with him never seeing a rep.
So, Chris, the way they're playing right now, though, right? Conceivably, say you're in the wild card hunt. You're 8-8, and you're in the wild card hunt 7-7, and now it's week 16, 17, and you're like, okay, well now we're eliminated, so you're playing for a game because that's when you're eliminated.
It's
so
tough.
It's something to think about.
It's tough because it depends on why. See, if they're still in the hunt, it depends on how. Like it depends on why they are. If Brissett is holding some things back at that point, yeah, you put him in, you play him. I mean, that's it.
Let me ask you guys this question about the reps. They're still saying that he's getting 30% and Brissett's getting 70%. With Brissett getting banged up, does he need more than 70? And the flip side is for May, should he get more now because of what you guys are talking about? Should he get more like 60-40 now and give some Brissett some time to relax a little bit? No?
No and no.
No.
No and no. And here's why. Because the 70-30 thing, Brissett's getting enough reps. That's not the issue. If the issue was him on the field not having timing with his receivers, being off on some throws behind guys, the radius is bad. He's not picking up blitzes or setting protections well. If those were the issues, then I would say, yeah, I mean, he needs more. That's not the problem. And you can't afford to go less. You can't afford to go less than 70%. Right, Mark? I mean,
no, absolutely not. No, listen, that's not listen, reps on an issue, Chris, because they're not utilizing the wide receivers anyways.
No.
So what's the difference?
I mean, they threw to him 3 times against Seattle. 3 times. I think what? Like,
no, 3 receptions or 4 receptions. What did they throw to him? Like 7 times? Something
no,
like
they threw. Hold on, I'll pull it up again because it's disgusting. I mean, these are ridiculous numbers. You can't win in the NFL. Okay, you cannot win in the NFL doing this. Polk got 3 looks. Osborne got they threw them 5 times, completed 3.
That's bad. That's
Great percentage.
That's by far the worst in the NFL, Chris.
Gotta be. So no, the other quarterbacks, the other rookie class, Nix, Daniel, the guys that are playing, Caleb Williams looked horrible. I mean, he had 2 picks. His percentage was terrible. He looked terrible. Daniels had good numbers, like as far as yards, no touchdowns. And then Bo Nix, so nobody's looking really that great. So to your point, Mark, let him not look that great either, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think so. I think we both agree, Chris. At some point, you got to probably throw him in there. The question is when. We both agree it's not now. It's later in the season. And to your point, maybe it's when you're eliminated. I don't know, maybe. But that's something I'm sure they're having those conversations behind the scenes as to when do we do it? Because you're going to have to do it at some point. But not now because, Chris, technically they could be 2-0.
Yeah, they should be. Bo Nix was 20 of 35 for 246, 2 picks. I mean, 55 quarterback rating. Yeah, terrible.
So, Chris, a couple of weeks ago on the show, we played a clip of Tom Brady talking about the rookie QBs and saying that, as a rookie, these guys shouldn't be playing. And he went into his reasoning why based on what they did in college and now. And it sounds like he may be right, Chris.
Well, I mean, he's Brady. I mean, he's not going to be wrong about too many things as it relates to the quarterback. No, he's right. I mean, it is. I think that guys respond better when they got to watch things a little bit, when they can absorb film. Look, guys come into the NFL, they don't know how to watch film yet. They don't understand what they're looking at when they see the film as it relates to what they see on the field. Getting a look from the coaching standpoint on the sideline, is to me invaluable. I had guys, when guys are injured, I have them stand with me on the sideline and I talk to them throughout the game and make them understand what we're seeing out there. So, I mean, I agree with Brady on that. And so, Mark, with the time we got left, surprises, some quarterback surprises around the league, right now. Baker Mayfield. Okay, last week, I mean, they're 2-0. He was 12 of 19, 185 yards, a touchdown and an interception. That wasn't great numbers, but what he's doing with this team and key drives at key points. I mean, he beat Detroit at Detroit.
Tampa Bay's a good team. Yeah, Tampa Bay's going to be there all year. The other team in that division, Chris, is Derek Carr. New Orleans is lighting it up. They went into Dallas and Spain. They just beat them up and slapped them around down there.
He was 11 of 16, so real efficient. 11 of 16 for 243, two touchdowns and a pick with 125 quarterback rating. Man, they put 44 points up on the board.
Yeah, I mean, he does that every year. He always looks good, and then everybody starts talking crap about him towards the end when he can't get it done.
Yeah. But, Joe, you go into Dallas. You go into Dallas for their home opener after what Dallas did in week 1.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And you kick the living crap out of them. I mean,
he does that a lot. He looks good for
Chris,
first half of the season.
Well, and then there's poor Tua who got hurt last week.
Yeah, you got to feel for that, man.
You got to feel for him. I don't know.
Got to slide, man.
Yeah, he's got some decisions to make on what he wants to do moving forward because now, Chris, it's quality of life, right? Like, in other words, is it worth playing football so when you're 40 years old, you can't remember your kids' names? I've
had concussions and I have issues too.
What I mean? I'm being dead serious now. I know we're always joking around, but now it's a quality of life thing. Is it worth to continue to play. And I'm sure he's consulting with the best doctors and his family, but I feel for him because he didn't look good. Chris, he didn't look good coming off the field.
No, it's no joke. I mean, I've had probably 6 concussions in my football career, and you feel it at this age. There are things that happen, and I mean, you feel for the guy, you pray for him, and pray he makes the right decision for he and his family. So QB Breakdown was presented by Corso and Catone, Saturdays, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. Hey, we got Catone's comments. We got Yankees, Red Sox. Well, it's really just Yankees now, Mark. But we got all that and so much more. So make sure you're tuning into that. But hey, when we come back, going to go back in the week in Weekly Rewind. No flipping. The real deal New England feel. What does that mean? We're like you. We're going to bitch about everything.
My opinion, our draft, the good, the bad, it was ugly.
These people, Mark, drive me freaking insane. Bananas.
It's so frustrating and aggravating. I can't take it.
The real deal New England feel. It's going to be real. Back in with more Pats Nation. It is the real deal New England feel. Of course, I want to tell. Make sure you're tuning into that. Your rant yesterday about plumbers and Christ almighty, I'm telling you. So,
well, I got chastised for the week before because I was talking about giving Mayo some props. I got beat up for that one.
You were horrible. That was horrible. That was your worst. That was his worst Cotone's comment by far.
Okay.
Wow.
Mainly because he criticized the crap out of me, man. So
me and his therapist thought it was a turning point.
So listen, we talked about the quarterback. Now let's get into some more to do with the Patriots. We're going to do it in a Weekly Rewind, and we're going to do it now. I'm getting it. Going back through the week. About a Weekly Rewind. All right, Mark. So we talked about the quarterback. I want to just give you this stat really quick about the offense. And this, I heard this on the, I don't know where the hell I heard this week, somewhere anyway. I didn't fact check it though, but 100, when you have an offense that had 150 yards rushing, 300 yards of total offense, no turnovers, under 5 penalties, and won the time of possession, okay? Since 1983, teams are 152-0. Okay.
Are you sure about that?
I didn't fact check it, but it seemed like it come from a real reliable source. It may not have been drinking too much after the game.
So what are you trying to say? The Patriots did not win and they had those stats?
They had those stats.
On
the
Sunday.
Patriots had all of those stats.
Okay.
What do you make of that? That's bad.
That's bad. When you put it in that light, that's bad, Chris. That's real bad.
So let's talk about this offense. Okay, Mark, start with the offensive line right now.
Wow. So I guess your big free agent signing quit on the team.
He quit. Literally quit.
We don't know where he is. He quit.
Okorafor. Walked away.
You don't want to sit on the bench and just collect the game check?
I
don't know.
Away, Mark.
Okay, so that was your big signing. He was going to be your right tackle, left tackle. I don't know what they were doing with him. But, Chris, they got crushed off the edge on the outside. They got crushed. That's where most of his pressure came from. Owenu had a terrible game last week, Chris. A terrible game. And granted, listen, he's playing tackle. You and I both agree he shouldn't be playing right tackle. He should be playing guard. But they because they're so bad at tackle, they got to swing him out the tackle. He is a better guard, much better guard than a tackle. But Chris, that was probably the worst game I've seen him play in a long time. It
was bad. Yeah, it was really, really bad. And I mean, look, you're talking about a team that is allowing. Okay, we talked about this. Brissett's been hit 28 times in 2 games, either hit or hurried. 28 times in 2 games. There's only 4 sacks, but he's under pressure 40% of the time. And I'll add, the first 2 weeks of the season, Cincinnati blitzed twice, Seattle blitzed 3 times. He's only been blitzed 5 times. And so they're doing this with a 4-man pass rush.
Yeah, that's astonishing, Chris, because I knew this week that Seattle did it mostly with a base 4 front, but I could have. I didn't go back and look at the tape. I'll be honest, at the Cincinnati game, but I thought Cincinnati blitzed more than that, but I guess they didn't. So that's pretty bad, Chris, when you're under that much pressure, and it's not like they're disguising blitzes and bringing guys from all over the field, and he doesn't know where they're coming from, and he's confused, and he's making the wrong read. So that's bad.
Well, guys are just getting beat. They're just getting beat.
Yeah, they're just getting beat.
And it's more on the edges than in the interior. I mean, you get the interior breaks down sometimes, but it's a hell of a lot more in on the edges. You know, I mean, Lowe is now hurt, so he's not playing tonight.
That's a problem.
And Sidney Saul has already been up. Well, he's a god. So they're going to try Caden Wallace over there, the rookie. I mean, man, the rookie right tackle they drafted.
They're going to kick him out to the left side.
They're going to make him play left tackle tonight. God help us all. God help Jacoby Brissett. For Christ almighty. So it's a huge issue. It's a huge issue moving forward. It's one of the things that's going to prevent Drake May from getting on this field, like we just talked about in the last segment. It's one of those things that's going to prevent that from happening. And so, Mark.
Chris, but they've been run blocking.
But you gave the stat against Cincinnati.
Yeah. Or have they? Yeah.
You know, you know,
so it was mostly
that again.
So they were like at the bottom of the league in yards before contact, which means
they were much better. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yards after contact, which means it was the running back that was making the plays.
Yeah, he jumped up to what, number 3?
Yeah.
That week.
And they were like 28th in yards before contact, but they were like 3rd in the league in yards after contact, which tells you Stevenson was doing the work, not the offensive line in that Cincinnati game.
It was better against Seattle. I mean, they rushed for 185 yards against Seattle, you know, on 38 carries. So they're averaging 5 yards a carry. Now that's combined. You had Stevenson rush for 81. You had Gibson rush for 96 off 11 carries. So Gibson was real effective, 8 yards a carry. And
Gibson had that one big run.
Yeah, that one big run. You're right. His long was 45 yards. So, you know, I guess temper it with that. But still, 185 yards rushing, and that's fine. It's if you can sustain that, which I don't know if you can do that based upon every other damn team and metric in the league that has to throw the ball and get it to their receivers, which brings me to this, Mark. The wide receivers. Okay. The wide receivers. And it's a mixed bag because I want to blame the coaching. Okay. And I want to blame some of the coaching in Alex Van Pelt, and I know we're going to talk about some of that. But just focus on the receivers right now. Are they getting open? You know, and we have some audio from Pop Douglas when Joe's ready, and they're not too happy, but they can't get separation either. It's not good.
But is it really on them that they can't get separation, Chris? They've got them running the most simplistic and basic routes that you can run. Like you said, Chris, there's no crossers, there's no rub routes, there's nothing sophisticated happening when you look at the wide receiver route trees.
But Mark, when you watch them on press, okay, when you watch them in man coverage and you watch them press, I mean, I'm going to nail the coaches for this too. Yes, but I'm watching these guys and they're not getting off it. I mean, they're not getting any separation on the press and on the man, or even if it's off man or catch man, they're just not. They don't seem to be getting that space, you know, that we hope they would. Now, they're not being utilized in the center of the field. They're not doing the things you're talking about, you know, with rub routes.
The guys that aren't getting off press a lot of times are Osborne and Thornton, who I don't think should even be on the field. I think you should have Douglas. I think you should have Baker. I think you should have Polk. And I think at times you should go 4 wide, and you should have Butte active, and Butte should be on the field. Let the 4 kids on the field and give them a shot.
And you know who else I think agrees with you and thinks you're right is Pop Douglas. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, very, very challenging, but on to the next game.
Yeah, Gerard said that he wants to get you guys involved, wide receiver. How does that happen in your mind?
We're gonna see in practice.
Do you think there's anything you can do, or we can do to make things happen?
Just keep doing what we're doing.
I feel like you guys have been good wise, route wise, and everything else.
Yeah, you know, you pull up the film, you can tell a bit, but you know, things happen for a reason, and whenever you know my time ready, I'm going to show 'em.
Pull up the tape.
Look at the film. He said
That was Pop Douglas after the Seattle game, where he got no targets, 0.
Just stupid
None.
questions, though. It's like, who's asking these questions? What can you do? It's like whatever the coach wants to do.
These
I get no
guys are
say
so.
in it.
You know what, Joe? It's a good point because these guys are so beat the crap
from Belichick.
from Belichick and his play is not. It's like they're timid. Ask the question. Why do you guys suck right now? Why can't you get the ball thrown to you?
Oh,
Talk
that's
to
not.
Does the coach? No, they
not
don't suck.
appropriate.
They don't suck. But why isn't the coach throwing you the ball? Are you telling them? Are they bitching at him? What's happening right now? Tell us. Anyway, Mark. So
That's why you'll never get a press pass. You'll never get a
I'll be
press
in there for
pass.
about 30
Yeah,
seconds.
they don't even
drag
answer
you
me
in.
back. I keep emailing them. They never answer me back.
They'll
They're
escort
dragging,
you
they're
way out
watching
of
the
room.
show. That's why they're going to drag me out of there like a maniac. So, Mark, listen, we're talking
Chris,
about
but
some
Douglas,
of these issues.
Douglas says, but Douglas, listen. So Douglas, I think, he's frustrated, but he's taking a shot at the coaches, Chris. He says, look at the film. And when he says, look at the film, Chris, I think he's also saying that because, in other words, they're basic routes. Like, what do you want him to do? It's not his fault that he can't get off.
When you say basic routes, what should you be seeing? Tell everybody.
Well, Chris, you're not seeing any crossers. You're not seeing any double routes where somebody's coming is underneath somebody's
Like over-under routes?
Under route. You're not seeing any of that, Chris.
How about some rub routes with these tight ends that they keep putting on the field of
that's
12
another
personnel?
issue. Well, you were screaming that Seattle was running rub routes, and you're like, isn't that a penalty? That's not a rub route. That's a pick. And I said, Chris, they allow it now.
They allow it.
We don't run it, but they allow it. They don't throw the flags.
Pop Douglas from 0 to 10 yards is one of the top, to me, one of the speediest guys in the league at getting separation from 0 to 10 yards, and they're just not using it. And the middle of the field for Seattle was wide open to be able to do that, and they didn't take advantage of that. On top of which, this week against the Jets tonight, the Jets are bad against the run, and you can be sure as hell they're going to gear up to stop the run, which means there should be some chances. And so if the coaches are listening to Pop Douglas, you may see them try to throw the ball. I do expect to see it more. We'll see.
Oh, I think this week, Chris, they're going to have to do it because especially the fact that Douglas is complaining. And listen, I know you think he was a slouch and he should have been on the team anyways. However, Jalen Reagor gets released this week because he also was putting stuff on social media, basically criticizing the offensive coaching staff for their lack of whatever use of receivers and a whole bunch of other. He was released pretty much immediately after that went out, and that was I think so. What's funny, Chris, is Mayo tries to be like the total opposite of Belichick, but his reaction to Jalen Reagor was Belichickian. How they're playing, their style of play is Belichickian. So it's funny how he tried to distance himself from everything Belichick, but yet all of the basic Belichick principles are evident in everything he's been doing, Chris. So it is funny.
Yeah, and so that's the offensive breakdown. We'll see how that goes the rest of the season. We didn't get much talking about defense, Mark. You dominated with the wide receivers. That's all you like to talk about,
Oh, well, because I want a number one.
But Juwan Bentley's hurt. It's going to hurt in the run game on the defensive side of the ball.
The defense gave up, Chris, over 300 yards passing. Why was that? What did you see? Why did they give up that? The Geno Smith? Why?
Because they blitzed too much. Because they were in man coverage too much, and the middle of the field was wide open, and you're playing against Metcalf, Lockett, and Smith Jagger, your guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And not only are you playing man coverage, you're playing off man coverage. So it's kind of like catch man. You're playing off five or 6 yards, and that's allowing Smith to get those course crossing routes, bench routes to the sideline, late out, and it gets you turned around, and you can't play that. And that's why you saw all those receptions. Yeah, not a lot of touchdowns thrown. It was a broken play that gave Metcalf the touchdown, broken coverage. but you see all those receptions because the middle of the field's open, in that situation, and you're playing too much man, not enough disguise. I don't think it's a player issue other than Wilson. I don't like Wilson at that other corner,
No. Well, Chris, tell me a little bit. Why was Jones on the bench to start the game?
I mean, I heard that they were giving Jones some rest on the bench. Jonathan Jones, some rest on the bench so they can get Wilson some more reps. This isn't preseason. This is a football game. Jonathan Jones should be on the play every down. Every down he should be out there. He's the better corner, period. End of story. So, again, middle of the field's an issue. Inside linebackers going to continue to be an issue on off ball. They will miss Bentley in the run defense. Absolutely, they will.
Especially this week against the Jets, Chris, because Breece Hall will run the ball. They're going to give the ball to Breece Hall because they also, Chris, need to develop some balance to Jets because Rodgers can't move around that pocket like he used to. And
there it is. So we got to go, but Weekly Rewind was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Hey, when we come back, got a special. Joe tells me it's a special heated hotline. Stick around. Back in with more Pats Nation. Joe, back in with more Pats Nation.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to corsolawgroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys.
Now we're back in with more Pats Nation. So listen, Joe, you're telling me we have a special heated hotline today? He doesn't.
Yep. Yes, we do. Yes,
I think he's. What
are you doing? You know why?
He's
watching the pregame show right now. He's listening to that. He's getting you. Are you tailgating? Is this where you are in New York?
Yeah. Well, somebody started burning the kielbasa. But I saw in the background on TV there, and then I took a look. You got a little bit of something going on with Mr. BB. And
you're a mess, man. You got Weekly Rewind up. You're all
so many buttons to press over here. Nobody gets it.
Well, Joe, let's have the heated hotline.
Oh. You know what, though? This is really a good job by Atlanta. They went down there and got the field goal, but now they got the ball coming out at the start of the second half. So this could be 2 straight possessions. If they can get on the board to start the second half, touchdown or a field goal, like that's a 6 or a 10-point swing. Philly really isn't going to touch the ball here. I mean, they got it for a few seconds. Looks like I'm sure they'll probably just wrap it up. But it's a good chance for a halftime swing. And I think we saw several games this weekend where that was really a factor. Certainly the New England Seattle game where, Seattle scored right before the half, ultimately took it into overtime. Like that was a big 3 points they picked up there, with some, let's say questionable clock management. But, this is a good opportunity for Atlanta to come back and take the lead in the third quarter.
And there he was, Mr. Bill Belichick on Manningcast, and they were doing the Atlanta game on Monday night. And, the second part of that is questionable clock management. I love it.
Oh, you had a big smile on your face as soon as you heard his voice on Heated Hotline.
He's right.
Between Gronk, Brady, and now Belichick, when you hear them talk about the Patriots,
yeah,
Gronk and Brady have stutter a little bit. He just rolls right off the tongue. He just out there in New England, rolls right off his tongue.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
What does he care?
He's not being petty, is he?
Oh,
he's all business, baby.
Yeah. You know what, Bill? You be as petty as you want. You do you. What do they say? You do you.
You do you,
whatever the hell that's called. You be you do you, any of the stuff the kids say today. But
oh my God.
Mark, let's talk about this because talk about the overall for you. We talked about this yesterday on Corso and Catone about overall with Mayo so far.
Look, overall, Chris, I listen.
Ugh.
I know you're not going to want to hear it, but Chris, you have to admit, overall, I thought he would be worse. I don't think he's done that bad of a job, Chris. Listen, he put them in position to win that game Sunday, and that's all you can ask. And if he put them in the position. Well, they were.
All right, finish your thought before I jump on it.
If he hits the field goal, Chris, they're up 6, and they're going to score a touchdown to beat you, right? So, were there some questionable decisions in clock management? Yes, Belichick's right. The clock management was terrible. They got to get better at that, obviously. I think the play calling on offense is terrible. You're the head coach. You need to get Van Pelt in the room and say, listen, that's over. We're not playing that anymore. But I don't think he's going to do that because I think that's the only style of play, Chris, they can do to win. And then thirdly, I know Belichick was talking about clock management. You got an issue with how he handled the overtime and the coin flip and whether or not to receive or kick. And I know you want to talk about that because you were screaming like a lunatic when they received in overtime. And you're the only person I know that got that pissed off about that. And no one else has even brought it up, but you did. But overall, Chris, I would probably give him, if I gave him a grade after 2 games, I'd probably give him a B-. B-. Chris, they got no talent. You're shaking your head. Well, I want you to tell me what you give him for a grade. Tell us what you think and give us your grade.
C-.
C-. Last week you were telling me you were singing his
Last
praises
week
about
you
his
were. That
fans.
was you. That was you. Joe, he's such a jerk. You're gonna get me going. You love to do this. Get me fired up right before the game too. Right before the Jets game. Well, I should be fired up for that. But okay, you're talking about putting them in a position to win. Are you kidding me? Look,
They weren't?
no, they were in a position to win. Yes. Okay. Did he put them in the best position?
Well, who did it? Belichick?
Why does it have to be the coach that put him in the best position to win in that situation? The bottom line is
his game plan.
They lost the game. They lost the game. Don't tell me about putting them in a position to win because they lost the damn game. This was not a situation where, look, I don't have a huge problem other than the offensive line with the way the rest of the team played. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Given what was given to them. And I will talk Covington and AVP a little bit too, because you got to put it on him in the overtime and the before the when they got the kick blocked, the field goal blocked. Okay, the questionable third down call, it's ridiculous. And the play calling in overtime was you can get into that. But here's how I consider putting your team in a good position to win. Okay, and why I was flipping out. You go to overtime, all right? Which I agree, you should not have been there to begin with. But you go to overtime now. Neither team demonstrated the ability. I said this yesterday. Neither team demonstrated the ability to move the ball up and down the field and score touchdowns at will all day long, especially late in the game. It didn't happen, all right? So the overtime rules are such where you get the ball first, you score a touchdown, game's over. Field goal, they get a shot. Now they get the ball. And then it's sudden death, next score wins. So you can't score a touchdown all day. They can't score a touchdown all day. So why wouldn't you give them the ball first? Why wouldn't you put yourself in a position to only need a field goal because you're playing the percentages of what took place all friggin' day? Do you really think that offense was going to come down the field, the Patriots, and score a damn touchdown? I don't want to hear the rah-rah crap on the sideline. Oh, we're going to go offense. Let's go. That's not for the coach to do. Okay, the coach is going to be smarter than that. So give it to Seattle, and either you get them to punt because maybe their play calling is different, or you get them to kick a field goal, and now all you need on the other side when you get the ball is a field goal. What's the risk? The risk reward. Okay? Did you have any? I had no doubt in my mind when we took that ball, we were losing that game. Period. End of story.
Yeah, you said it. When they kicked it, you said we lost.
It was a horrible decision, and that's not putting your team in the best position to win. Sorry. Done. Okay, that's it.
Okay, that's all right. That's your opinion. All right.
Talk about Alex Van Pelt.
So, Chris, in overtime. So, all right. So, you didn't really score much. I mean, okay, you got the touchdown. Stevenson could get one touchdown, and Polk caught a touchdown. But so you go to overtime. You kind of struggled in the second half. You moved the ball, you missed the field goal, but all game you've done the same thing pretty much with your offense.
Yeah.
In overtime, wouldn't you have tried to get them off balance, Chris, and maybe went to play action quick out of the gate, opened the field up right out of the chute? Because Seattle would not have been prepared for that, Chris, because you hadn't shown it all game. If you're going to take the ball first, to your point, you haven't shown the ability to go down the field and score a touchdown. Wouldn't you have changed it up to throw something at Seattle that hadn't seen all game? Go no huddle. Do something. Spread them out. And Van Pelt, if anything, Chris, went even more into a shell in overtime. Even more conservative.
Well, he made some adjustments, but it was too late in the game. Look. Here's the deal. Seattle plays cover one. Look, Seattle plays cover one a lot, which means you got a single high safety up there and you're playing man underneath it. Okay.
Yeah.
And we were 8 of 15 for like 59 yards, some stupid number like that against that. So that tells you the receivers can't get off it. They can't get off the man coverage. Okay. Fine. Okay. But you're not putting them in the position to get off it. You have to know your personnel too. You can't fit a square peg into a round hole, okay? Either that or put Baker on the field, put other guys on the field that maybe can do it. But the bottom line is receivers aren't getting off that. They're playing cover one and man, and you're horrible against it. So change it up. Put motion. Get Pop Douglas out of the backfield. Run some bubbles. Take advantage of that close coverage. Run guys off so their backs are turned, okay? Maybe run a quarterback run, perhaps. A designed run for the quarterback. How about running some rub routes against man to get a guy to pop free? So you're cutting another guy off the field, across the field, and Pop Douglas run in the middle. And then when they ran cover two, when they were running cover two, the middle field was wide open. Why isn't Pop Douglas all over the middle of that field? I don't understand it. So yeah, that's Alex Van Pelt. It was a suck job. It was horrible. It's a game they could have and should have won. They had enough talent to win that game, period. Okay? So I put it on the coaches more than the players, Mark, in this game. That's what you're saying, too. And in Covington, So there were times when, they were blitzing, like, I don't know how many percentage of the time that we were bringing pressure, and trying to play man coverage on Lockett, Metcalf, Smith. And it was kind of like, I think I mentioned a little bit, it was off. They were 10 of 12 with a touchdown against the blitz, and they had the 2 first downs they had in overtime were against the blitz. No disguise, no switching it up, no man to zone on one side of the ball or another. Cover two, when they play in cover two, it was deep cover two. Listen, the bottom line to me is, when you're got a mindset like that where all you're going to do is just be aggressive. That's it. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go. I'm not going to disguise it well. I'm going to put my guys in peril with those kinds of receivers. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get 300 and some odd yards of receiving. What was it? 327 yards. Metcalf had 10 catches. Smith-Njigba had 12. I mean, you kidding me? You've got to do something different as a defensive coach, Mark, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He just allowed that crosser. Njigba, Chris, he allowed that crosser the entire game. They never adjusted to it, Chris. He actually dropped a couple of passes, Chris, that were in his hands. He would have had like 150 yards receiving.
Yeah.
And they didn't adjust all game. He ran the same thing over and over, and they couldn't stop it.
Stubborn.
Granted, there was no big play. No, but everything was in front of them. But they allowed that all game. All game they allowed it.
Yeah, I mean, the players, look, I mean, the edge tackling has been good. The tackling itself has been good. Wilson hasn't been good, but the rest of the secondary has played well.
And Chris, so you're taking that as that should have been a coach's adjustment, not the player's fault. That he should have called something to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no question in my mind. I mean, the coaching, again, the coaching just was poor in this game. It was poor, and it's a game they could have and should have won. And obviously, Bentley hurts now against the run. So we'll pay attention to that.
And the Jets this week will run the ball, Chris. They run the ball, Breece Hall. So can they? What's that going to look like this week without Bentley on the field? Because that is one of the things Bentley is good at. And Bentley, Chris, wears the dot. So he's the play caller out there, and I believe they're going to give that to Duggar when he went on the game last week. Yeah. Duggar had it on. So, and I guess they said Duggar's going to continue to do that moving forward.
Well, they're going to try to bring some guys up in the box. They're going to rely a lot on probably on Gonzalez, on Wilson, and try to get some pressure on Rodgers, who's not going to be mobile, and he's going to bail out. He's going to throw the ball. He doesn't want to take the hits. Rodgers is not going to want to take the hits, so that should be the keys, this week. But we appreciate Bill Belichick.
The Jets, Chris, play a lot of zone.
Yeah,
too, on defense.
Yeah, which means you should be able to get Pop Douglas and guys crossing over in the middle of. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So thank you to Bill Belichick for the heated hotline call. But this,
you wait. If he called, you'd be slobbering all over yourself if he ever called into this show. My God.
Hey, if you know what, if there's anybody to bend to, this is the guy, right? As far as I'm concerned. So heated hotline was presented by Corso and Catone Saturdays, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. Hey, we got it all. We got Catone's comments. We got Yankees, Red Sox. We're going to start coming up with some Bruins and Celtics coming real soon. So stick around for that. But when we come back, hey, we're going to try to make you some money, go a little bit around the league, see what's happening. Sunday spread, no flipping.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
What?
That's it.
What is wrong?
Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Field. It's going to be real.
Back in with the Pats Nation. All right, Mark. I made a little, did a little.
I've been getting my behind kicked the first couple of weeks, but I always start out slow and then but last week, actually, I did hit my teaser last week because I did pick the Texans and I picked Kansas City. I said teaser, and it was a lock teaser because those lines were brought down.
I'm so sick of Kansas City.
No, I am too. But at this point, Chris, and it always happens that way with them, doesn't it?
Ugh.
And of course, the Swifties were out again. The Swifties.
No, but why?
Right?
Why?
I had to bring it up.
Why? Everybody just turned us off just now. They showed her more than they showed Kelsey.
I know.
Well, Kelsey really didn't do much in the game, but you're right. They did. They
Ridiculous. I heard that they have their breakup plan already in place. I hear things. I hear things, Mark. I hear things. So,
you hear things.
So listen, before we get to our picks, let's talk a little bit because I want to see if we're right. I want the people to see out there on Saturday and Sunday if we're right. Tell me what they got to do to win this Jets game tonight.
Well, Chris, they're going to have to, like you said, I think the Jets, you mentioned it earlier, that they're going to have to run some routes that expose the middle of the field because the Jets run zone, Chris. They do run zone. And granted, they got Sauce Gardner, but the Jets play a lot of zone. So you're going to have to run things, Chris, that can expose that zone. If you're going to continue to run what you ran the first 2 weeks, you're going to get beat. You're not going to win playing that offense this week. The Jets are going to stack the box.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that the middle linebacker Mosley is out. They're going to stack the box, Chris, and they're going to
bring a robber down with the safety.
Yeah. So you're going to have to do something different this week. If you don't, Chris, you're never going to beat this team.
So you feel like you'll see a lot of cover three. You feel like you'll see. We call it on my team a joker, where we take that other safety that fought. If it's not nickel, if it's 4 deep backs, you feel like they're going to take that safety, walk them down.
Yep,
in the box.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Then play a little cover three over the top.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I see that happening for sure.
I do.
Which means to me, you know, on the other side, you could take advantage of. You should be able to take advantage of some of that.
You should. You would think, right?
But I'm interested to see if we're going to see Baker.
Are you going to take advantage of that in jumbo personnel? Heavy. No, you said heavy. Heavy personnel.
Unbalanced. Yeah. And like both tight ends on the field. Mark, you talked about this too. Like,
why
God
are they
damn
just
it.
continue to listen? I don't
So
know.
again, let's
You
see.
should see a lot of you should see a lot of Baker tonight.
Well, I'm
Chris,
hopeful
too.
for that. I am. I'm hopeful for that. I want to see what the young guys can do. I don't know if Butte is going to be active or inactive. That they're out right now by now, but I don't see them yet. So maybe you could look that up while I'm doing all the work over here. You know what I mean? So, but on the defensive side of the ball, well, Mark, would you agree on offense to finish that? Obviously, you got to take care of the ball again, stay ahead of the sticks, make good decisions. Brissett needs to tuck it and run when he should and when he has to. And I'd like to see some more bubbles, a little more screens, a little more bubbles, things like that. Now, going to the other side of the ball, okay, defensively. So, look, to win this game, you're going to have to stop the run. Bentley is Breece Hall, like Mark said, I mean, you're going to see heavy doses of him. And because Bentley's out in this game. And now what are you going to do? You're going to have McMillan. You're going to have guys like that trying to, plug that up. You may have to walk some guys down, which is going to leave the outsides open. Similar kind of thing as what the Jets are doing. Okay. But up front, are we going to be exposed with Equale Farms for undersized against the run? But they're going to have to stop the run, and they're going to have to get they're going to have to get face pressure, center pressure on Rodgers.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about him rolling out.
Yeah.
Center pressure, which means you should see Keon White lining up all over the defensive line tonight.
You should see him lining up all over the defensive line. And Chris, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have to figure out how to stop the run, because they are going to run it with Breece Hall. They absolutely are. And by the way, Butte is active tonight.
He is, because here are the inactives: Bentley, Milton, Wilson. Marco Wilson's out, Mark, the corner.
That's your buddy, Marco Wilson. The corner, you love him.
Lowe is out tonight, which we talked about already. So, yeah, I mean, defensively, that's the key.
So maybe they're going to go with the young guys. Why would Butte be active, Chris, if they're going to just not use him again and let him sit there? Maybe they plan on going with the young guys tonight, I hope.
Or maybe there's Baker. Maybe Baker kicks up and plays more. So we'll see.
Maybe Baker kicks up and plays more. And I'm going to tell you something else. I'm going to tell you why the offense is going to be good tonight. Because I think in the owner's box, Jonathan Kraft's going to have the play sheet, and he's going to be calling plays from the booth.
Joe, he likes to he likes the needle, doesn't he? Likes the needle right before games.
Well, we're going to have to keep an eye on that.
We said yesterday, we mentioned on yesterday's show that no one else has brought this up. In the Cincinnati game in the third quarter, they spanned the owner's box. And at one point, he kept rewinding it and froze it and took pictures. He's zooming in, and he sends them to me, the crazy nut, and he says, "Is that a play sheet?" And Jesus, Chris, you said it looked just like a play sheet.
It looks just like a call sheet.
A call sheet.
It looks like a call sheet.
Right?
Like, play sheet. Like what the offensive coordinator would have called play.
If he's holding a call sheet, you have a problem.
What the hell's he doing with that?
I don't know. All right, well, let's make some money.
All right, Mark, let's go to it. Let's get to the spread, and let's talk some games. Mark, give me a couple. And I put down like 4 of them, because you're always stealing mine, because you get to go first.
Okay, so then you go first.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Why I don't want to hear you.
I don't want to jinx the game tonight. I don't want to do anything different. Go ahead.
Okay,
listen, next week, Joe, we should talk next week. Do a Catone's comments next week on Corso and Catone about our rituals, about our Patriots rituals. Wow.
We
all right, Mark, give us some pearls.
I'm going to give you some pearls this week. So first, I'm telling you right now, and it's going to drive Chris crazy, because I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are one of the worst teams in football. I don't care. They've played somewhat close the first 2 weeks. That coach is going to get fired real quick. Buffalo, who Chris said is finished, washed up, done. They're one of the better teams in the league. They're going to roll through Jacksonville at home. They're going to roll through Jacksonville. Well, who's Jacksonville stinks? They ain't beating anybody.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Schedule
so Buffalo,
and that was one of mine too. Yeah.
That game is a Monday night game, but Buffalo is going to roll against Jacksonville. I also.
Well, let me say this about that, because I had that too. Use that game to make up for the beating you may take on Sunday. So you're instead of rolling your change on Monday morning, you can go ahead and bet them. Yeah, they're going to crush
I'm
that
going to
5.
take on the road. I think it's a setup game on the road, getting points. I think they get 2.5, 3. I'm going to take Philadelphia. New Orleans' ride is going to end. I think New Orleans is going to win. I think Philadelphia is going to go into New Orleans. No one's going to pick them. And I think Philadelphia, I like Philadelphia this week to bounce back. I don't think Philadelphia, after the way they lost the other night, I think hopefully A.J. Brown is back for that game. And I'll tell you my other game that I'm going to pick. I'm going to take on the road because I think they stink. I know they're 2-0, but they stink. I'm going to take Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers because I think Pittsburgh stinks. I don't know how Pittsburgh's favored. They shouldn't be favored over the Little Sisters of the Poor. I'm going to take the Chargers. I'm going to take the Chargers on the road. Believe it or not.
I disagree. Pittsburgh's going to cover that spread. And listen,
Okay.
I'm going to hang on Justin Fields for the rest of the season because I think Justin Fields.
Hold on, you keep holding on to him. Hold on to his cleat, his shoelaces.
I think Justin Fields is going to be the steal of the offseason. Okay, so
he ain't stealing anything this week.
So shouldn't Vegas be favored by more than 5 against Carolina? Carolina sucks.
They should be.
Now they're changing their quarterback and all this stuff, and maybe they'll get a boost there. But Vegas is at home.
And is 104 years old.
Yeah, they take the. I don't care about the points.
No.
Okay, Vegas is giving up 5. They're gonna, it'll cover that. They'll take that game, and then Detroit at Arizona. I always think Arizona's a fraud. Always. This is what they do. This is what Arizona does. They have a fantastic game and they follow it up with a friggin' stinker.
Hey, I heard a rookie receiver had a pretty good week last week for them.
Oh, yeah,
somebody you like.
We don't need to talk about that right now because I'm going to flip out. So Detroit is giving up 3 going on the road. And even though Arizona's a home dog, I think Detroit's coming off a bad loss. They're pissed off about. I think they're going to beat them pretty good. I really do. Mm-hmm. And then the other game I'll give you real quick is how the hell is Kansas City only a 3-point favorite at Atlanta? How'd that happen?
Kansas City's at home because Pacheco's out, maybe for the year.
Okay.
No, I know.
I don't think Atlanta's very. I know Atlanta's playing. I don't like. I mean, look, Kansas City's going to cover that. I mean, the Kansas City's going to win by possibly double digits in this game.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they haven't done that yet.
No, they're due to blow somebody out. You're right.
By the way, freaking Kansas City is starting to figure out. That owner is starting to figure out that he doesn't need to spend. He's starting to figure out the Kraft method. He doesn't have to spend any damn money.
Bologna sandwiches.
Because he has Mahomes.
Well, because he's got the golden egg. Like we had.
Yep.
So
bologna sandwiches. Bologna sandwiches for everyone.
Jesus Christ, Joe. So, all right, let's give this pick. Let's see if we were right. Pick this game tonight with the Jets, even though the game's over when everybody's watching this.
New England Patriots 23. New York Jets 17. Ah, you crazy! New York Jets 27, Patriots 13. I fooled you.
I got Patriots 20-17.
Oh, you're
I'm taking the Patriots tonight. 20-17.
You just hate Aaron Rodgers. You hate Aaron Rodgers.
The fact that you don't is surprising to me.
I do hate him, but I don't think we're going to win on the road.
All right. Well, we got to go. The Pats Nation was presented by Corso Catone, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. Get on, watch, listen. All our shows are up for you. Subscribe, follow us, and come back next week at 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern. We're going to have our preview of the trip to San Francisco and that 49ers game, all that, and so much more. We are the Pats Nation. See you next Sunday, and enjoy the game.